As gas and gas bottles are getting in short supply, we're all looking at alternatives to try to find ways to use electricity and cook on electricity. So in our van we have a hot plate, a toaster, an electric kettle, and that plugs into this socket here, which runs into the back, and we run that off a Bluetti power supply. But the question is, can you do this, and can you run all this on a petrol generator, and a modern petrol generator? This video is about the top of the range modern technology against the modern old school. So this is a modern petrol driven generator. The price difference between these is quite significant. So the Bluetti, just the power unit by itself, is £1,899 on Amazon, and the solar panel to go with it is £899. That's a total of £2,798, although the petrol generator is £559. I will put all the information for both these products in the description below, and any discount codes if there are any available. We're back in the Whippet workshop, and we've been sent one of these from MaXpeedingrods. This is an MXR 3500 portable inverter generator, but it's a petrol generator. I suppose we're asking the question now, is this the old school, new school of generators? They've developed a hell of a lot over the years, but things have generally taken over with power supply being supplied by solar generators. But let's have a look at this and we'll compare it against a lithium solar generator pack, and we'll see what the differences are and if there's benefits between the two. Here's the information on the side. It's the model MXR 3500. It peaks at 3,300 watts, so plenty of power there, and its rated wattage is 3,000 watts. It's 230 volts, 50 hertz for UK use. It's a 145cc 4-stroke engine, takes 4 litres of fuel and 0.45 litres of oil, which these don't come with oil in. You have to put the oil in before you use them. And there's the dimensions of the size of the unit. Well, this is the unit you get. Pull cord on this side, instruction manual, information, very important information there, that you must put the oil in before you use it. Internal fuel tank with a on-off, and that's the breather on-off, but it also will stop it leaking if you put it inside your camper van or in your car, wherever you're transporting it to. Indicator lights here, on-off. There's a reset for DC and AC. On and off switch here, and you've got your power outtakes at the bottom. There's an earthing screw there, so you can put an earthing clamp into the ground, and you get 2 3-pin sockets. And there's some inspection holes on that side to fill your oil up, and in the top here to get to your spark plug. In the box you get a bag, a cover for it. You get a take-off lead, which is for these low-level sockets here, these 12-volt sockets. You get a lead to enable you to take power out of the 12-volt cigarette socket if you want to charge your battery or something with it. A spark plug spanner, and a screwdriver, double-ended screwdriver. And this is really useful. This is the filler pipe you put into the sump plug to enable you to top the oil up, so you don't get it everywhere. So you can just do it for the inspection hatch instead of taking the cover off, which is a nice little added extra. So if you take these inspection caps off on this side, that's to the air filter, and this is to the dipstick, which is also where you put the oil in to get into the sump. And you have to do that before you actually start it, because it's not transported with enough oil in it. So this just unscrews out of there, and it's got a dipstick on it, and as I said, there's not enough oil when it's transported, so we do need to fill it up. Like this, I could do one of these for my motorbike, stop me spilling oil everywhere when I change my oil. So this just screws into where the dipstick was, and it's got an O-ring on to stop it leaking everywhere, and it means it's easier to get your oil in. and you don't cross thread it. There we go. Nice and easy way to do that, isn't it? Look at that. I'm going to check this to see if this actual funnel will fit into the refiller cap on my Triumph Bonneville. That'll stop me pouring oil everywhere. Just let that drain down. I think we're somewhere near what it needs. But obviously we'll check it with the dipstick. So I've run it for a few minutes and it moves the oil from the sump around the engine. I'll double check it. But it does have an indicator light on the front of it to see if it's got low oil. Have we got any petrol? This is the other Whippet toy room. And we always have some petrol in because with this motorbike I tend to ride it around where we live, but if I want to fill it up it's a 20-mile round trip just to fill it up. So when I pop to the garage with the car I'll fill this big can up and I'll be able to top this up without having to go to the garage all the time. So we've got plenty of petrol in there that we'll be able to use. It's nice to see it's got a filter in there which is good, and a level sensor, so that's the highest level you need to fill it with fuel. It's a nice little filter in there if you've got any muck in your petrol tank. It's quite full, is this? That'll be enough for now. Well, the on-off on the top for the fuel is actually the air vent, but it also has an air O-ring in it as well. Don't know if you can see that under there, but that stops it leaking fuel if you're carrying it around. Nice bit of kit. This is brand new, it's not been used, so we'll put it onto choke, which is down there. We'll open the fuel. How it goes. How easy was that? So the question that everybody will ask is how noisy it is. So I'm out now and we're outside, we're just me talking and the bears tweeting away, and we're currently around 50 to 60 dBA. There's an aeroplane going by and various cockerels going off. But let's see what the difference is when we start the generator. Well, that was reasonably quiet. As you saw, I had it quite close to the generator and we got up to about 90 decibels when I took it around the back near the exhaust. But as I moved away from it and got to about here, it went down to about the background noise that we currently have. So as I'm here, it's about 40 to 50 decibels, and I think it was around just over that when it was actually running, so it's not too noisy at all. I would say that the way to describe the volume of this is, as it was on tick over, it would be like a small petrol grass cutter, maybe a little bit quieter, certainly quieter than that bloody cockerel in the background. So far so good. Easy to set up, comes well packed in the box. Let's test it with a few appliances. I don't know how well this will work. Well, I'm surprised at that. Well, it'll run a MIG welding plant. One of the things I'm surprised about, it didn't get really loud. I mean, this draws a lot of power and it did start to flicker the overload light, but it gave me enough time to run a little bit of spotty weld. So if you was welding up a camper van or some mild steel, some thin mild steel, it'd run this, and I put it on full power as well just to make sure it was alright. That's quite impressive. angle grinder and a power saw. Let's try them both on at the same time. I'll just take the blade out of this so it doesn't make a mess. We managed that alright. No overload light or anything come on there. That is quite impressive and reasonably quiet. What we need to do is take it out in the camper van somewhere, stick it next to the camper van and see how loud it is from a reasonable distance. I don't think you'd want it on your campsite next to you, powering somebody's camper van or a caravan. But if you're wild camping somewhere and you need that extra power supply, this is a good option, particularly at the price, compared to something of this capacity as a solar generator. Well, there we are, out on the moor, middle of nowhere. And the sound currently, without me talking, is about 67. And I'm probably about 5 meters away from it. About 25 meters away from it. 53. And in front of it, it's about 50, and I'm about 20 meters away from it, maybe 25 meters. And I'd say the ambient noise is between about 33 and 40 without it switched on. Inside the van with it running is about 43. With nothing on in the van, it's about 31 decibels. And it got to 34 with a car going by on a road which is about 10 metres away. This is the current setup I've got in back of the van. So in the wooden box in there, there's a 320 amp hour oak tree lithium battery. And then I've got the Victron gear up there, the MPPT and the battery to battery charger, and a mains powered battery charger as well. And then up there we have the Bluetti AC200MAX. And then I've shown this before, but my hookup is one of these camper ones, which is the fuses in the top there. And then these are just through to the cab to other extension sockets, and the cable goes out, no holes drilled through, it just nips underneath there, and I've done that for years, and I've currently got that linked to that generator. The is actually wired into the socket into the side here, which is a power takeoff, and it comes along, it goes through a relay, the little black box there in the middle, and into the power system of the van, and then goes to a little switch here. When I switch that on, actually switches the unit on, and then there's an app, and I can use an app to switch on all the other bits and pieces, or actually switch the unit off. And then there's 4 main sockets on there, and one of those is plugged into a extension socket in the back of the van. So as I'm driving along, this is powered from the lithium battery through this wiring system here, and using the solar panels and the B2B battery charger to keep this charged up at 12 volts. And it currently draws, when it's charging, if I can reach, 102 watts. And then if I want to switch it off, I just got a little switch here. It just makes life a lot easier, and it's out of the way and it's across the axle. This is the massive Bluetti 350 watt portable solar panel. that I can link into the van or into the Bluetti unit or anything I want, because the connections are all adaptable. Unfortunately, particularly in the UK, this is not waterproof. So if this was waterproof, it would be far more usable in the UK. Because you never know when we're going to get a shower. Even through these heat waves we've just had, we had quite a heavy downpour this morning. But it's not waterproof. There's the standard pop-up legs on the back and 2 cables that come out of it, and you can run that in series as well. So you could link it to another one of those panels, and I think Bluetti sell them as a kit. They send the power unit that's in back of the van with this solar panel, or you can have it with a power unit and 2 solar panels of this size. That's the specifications for the solar panel. So it works from -10 to +65 degrees C, and it's a 350 watt panel that runs at 36 volts. And it has these standard connectors on, which you can put extension leads on or link to another panel of the same size to give you more power. This is not 100% waterproof, but I'd rather leave that outside than the Bluetti. So it would actually be good if companies would start to make these more usable for the UK. And what I mean by that is make the actual power unit waterproof, or as best they can, and the solar panels. The advantage of having this Bluetti in the back is, as well as having a massive battery in it, over 2,000 watt hours, it's also a generator. So it'll generate itself, or I can plug the solar panels in. So instead of using an inverter, which would just run off my lithium battery, which is quite capable of doing that, but I don't have an inverter, I use the power packs like this to enable that to give me the mains power that I need. But also having it in the back, I can charge up my e-bikes and anything else I want to charge up, even put some of my camera gear in here and charge those up. The advantage of this over the advantage of the petrol generator over this is I can use a petrol generator to charge this. Obviously there's no battery in the petrol generator, it has to be running to generate power. So I can actually plug the generator into the plug socket on the side and it would charge this unit. This is the big power brick that comes with the Bluetti. So that can be sat in here, you've plugged into the unit on the side, and then just plug this into here, and either this is down to hook up, plugged up at home, or it's actually plugged into a separate generator. I'm removing 6 screws and the power charging lead out of this socket here. I can remove the unit out, and it's got twin wireless chargers on the top at 15 watts. It's got loads of USBs and USB-C 100 watts, 2 pins chargers, and a standard cigarette socket. With this is you can buy additional battery units which plug in the side here to expand. You can put 2 more battery units in, so I would never need that additional power, but if I wanted to, I could put 1 on each wheel arch and plug them into this as well, and they'll all interchange and work off each other. Comes with a great on-screen display, tells you how much power's going in and how long it lost, how much power's going out, and you can switch things on and off on here, but you can also switch them on and off with the app. This has a built-in inverter, and it maxes out at 350 watts and runs at 300 watts. With various USB and power takeoffs, cigarette socket, and 2 main sockets on there. I might say you can't have a traditional generator running in the back of your van like you can a modern day solar generator. But if you look at IVEAVAN Mark's video, I'll put a link into the description below, he's got a big diesel generator in the back of his van that's linked into the full system, and he just presses a button and it starts it, and it's all integrated into his power system in his van, so it is doable. Here's the app for the Bluetti on my phone, the AC200, and as you can see there's 101 watts going into it, and then the DC is running there to run this unit, and you can switch the AC on and off and the DC on and off from the remote control. So the way I have this fitted into the back of my van, I just flick that little switch, and that switches the 12-volt charging supply to it off the main battery setup in the camper van, which includes the links to my solar panels on the roof and the battery to battery charger through my lithium battery. And then I can do everything else from the app. I can switch the unit on and off, and I can switch the DC on and off, and I can switch the AC on and off. So I don't have to keep going into the back to switch it on and off. And there's all sorts of other things on here, monitoring and how much power you've had and has it been charged from the mains. It's just a really handy app to enable you to control it while you're in your van, and you don't have to have that big unit in your van out on display. You can put it in a cupboard, or like I have in the garage. Well, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. It's time to take them two out. Do you want to go out? It also works on Joe, but you need a different comment. Do you want to go to the pub?